Hey everyone, it's Wyatt here, or Wyattap as my friends call me. It's a few days before Christmas and I'm sitting in the Manchester, New Hampshire airport, watching people get off the short flight from Boston. It's chaotic, families reuniting, friends hugging, everyone's happy to be back together. But I'm waiting for my wife, Dr. Rachel Lewis, who's been gone for 6 months working in Puerto Rico. We haven't seen each other since Thanksgiving and I can't wait to get my hands on her. Rachel and I have been together since high school. We met in ninth grade, total high school sweethearts. We went to college together, but I graduated early and became an engineer back in this town. Rachel went on to become a doctor. She's amazing, right? We got married right after I graduated, and now we live in a cozy little 3-bedroom house north of Manchester. Rachel's first job after med school was with this nonprofit called Doctors Without Boundaries. They send young doctors like her to help in countries that really need it. Her contract was for 12 months, and she's halfway through. Puerto Rico was her first stop last summer. Long-distance relationships are hard, especially when you've been together since you were 16. These months without her have been the longest I've ever gone without seeing Rachel, and I miss her like crazy. So anyway, the passengers are starting to thin out and I see this familiar figure walking towards me. Long blonde hair, those gorgeous blue eyes, it's Rachel. She's about 5'7", with a really lean, athletic build. She's always been stunning, and you wouldn't believe how many guys would stare at her in high school. She sees me and smiles, running into my arms. "Hey babe, I'm so happy to see you," she says, her breath hitting my cheek. "You look even better than you did last month. Did you get a tan? You look amazing." "Hey beautiful, you look amazing too," I tell her. "That tan is really working for you." We grab our bags and chat about what's been going on. Rachel doesn't say much about work, just that everything is going as expected. While she calls her mom in the kitchen, I carry her suitcase to the bedroom, open it up, and start unpacking. Then I notice this red lingerie, like a super sexy see-through nightie. I've never seen her in anything like that before. I figure she's saving it for a special occasion, so I put it back, really looking forward to a romantic night. After dinner, I'm really looking forward to a hot night after a month apart. But instead of that red lingerie, she walks out of the bathroom in one of my old t-shirts. Maybe she's saving it for a special occasion, I thought. We were definitely intimate, but not with the passion or excitement I'd imagined. It was routine, like we hadn't even been apart. Maybe she's tired after 3 connecting flights, I tell myself. We spend Christmas at my parents' house, since Rachel's parents moved to Florida a few years back. But by the 3rd day of her visit, I can't ignore this feeling that something is off. The spark between us is gone. I remember Thanksgiving. When Rachel came home for 2 days, it wasn't really special either. I told myself she was just tired from work, from all the travel, and I tried not to think about it. But now, after 3 days together, I can't ignore it anymore. Rachel doesn't seem exhausted, but she doesn't have the same energy she used to. Her eyes seem a little distant, not really focused on me or anything else. It feels like there's an invisible wall growing between us. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm just remembering those early days of being madly in love, when we were young and carefree. But deep down, I know something's changed. I just don't know what. As Rachel's last night at home rolls around, I'm still hoping for something special, something to rekindle the flame. I found that sexy red lingerie in her suitcase the other day, and if there was ever a night for her to wear it, it's tonight. Tomorrow, she flies back to Puerto Rico, and this is the last night we'll have together until she comes home at the end of February. But Rachel walks into the bedroom in just an old t-shirt, one of the ones she wears around the house. I'm disappointed, but I don't say anything. Instead, I focus on giving her the love and attention she deserves. The next morning, after dropping Rachel at the airport, I watch her plane take off, taking a part of me with it. These are the hardest days, the countdown until she gets back. But it's not just the distance that's bothering me. I've never felt this disconnected from Rachel, even when she's away. It's like everything has become a routine, a series of polite gestures between 2 people who have grown too familiar with each other. I tried my best to make her time home a special memory, but it feels like Rachel wasn't trying as hard as I was. I start wondering, did the stress of her job change her? Did I do something wrong? Did she meet new people while she was traveling and wish she wasn't tied down to our marriage? Is she tired of our life together? These thoughts keep swirling in my head as I drive home. On my way to work, I can't escape these thoughts. When she first left for Puerto Rico, Rachel would call me every day, sometimes twice a day. We even had some pretty steamy video chats when she had some privacy. But then, around September, the calls started getting less frequent. Daily calls became weekly calls, and whenever I called her, she'd go straight to voicemail. Her excuse was that she was busy at work and couldn't have her phone on. But why would her phone still be off even after she got off work? I tell myself she'll call when she lands in Puerto Rico. But after a long day at work, I get home and realize she still hasn't called. She should have been there hours ago. I try calling, but it goes straight to voicemail. Now, I'm really starting to get anxious. What's going on? She doesn't start work until tomorrow, so why hasn't she called? I try to forget about it by working out in my home gym in the garage, but the stress is still there. After I shower, I check my phone again. Still no call from Rachel. I decide to make dinner and watch TV, but the worry doesn't go away. When I get ready for bed, I call again, but the result is the same, straight to voicemail. Rachel, what are you doing? How can you forget to call your husband after you get back to work? The next morning, Rachel finally calls. She says she was so busy getting ready for work that she forgot to call me. It doesn't explain why her phone was off all afternoon and evening, but I let it go for now. She says she needs to rest and then she's off to work. After that, Rachel's calls become strangely regular, but they lack intimacy. She only calls once a week, always on Saturday morning, almost on a schedule. Whenever I try to contact her outside of that time, it's voicemail, and she'll give some excuse about being busy or working late. Even those Saturday morning calls start to feel robotic, like she's fulfilling a duty rather than wanting to talk. It makes me uncomfortable and suspicious. I feel like she's distancing herself from me somehow. At the end of February, Rachel comes home again, but the distance between us is still there. Her trip home goes smoothly, but it lacks the connection I'm craving. And then, when she comes home for Easter, that feeling doesn't go away. Rachel still maintains this invisible wall, making me feel like we're just good friends, not the passionate couple we used to be. Intimacy has become a duty, not the passionate connection we used to share. On her last day before she leaves, I decide I can't stay silent any longer. I need to tell her what's weighing on my mind. Rachel, is something bothering you? We're not as close as we used to be. I can't explain it, but something feels off. Rachel looks at me, a little surprised. No, nothing is bothering me. I don't notice anything different. I'm still very happy to be married to the man I love. Why would you think something is wrong? I sigh, trying to articulate what I'm feeling. Because we're not connected anymore. You seem distant whenever you're home, like you'd rather be somewhere else. We hardly talk when you're in Puerto Rico. Your phone is always off even when you're not working. You never call me back. Should I even continue this? Rachel looks down, her voice softening. Wyatt, I'm sorry. Work in Puerto Rico has been harder than I expected. Long hours, lots of shifts, and so much pressure. When I have free time, I just want to sleep or relax by the pool and try not to think about work. I didn't realize that not calling you would make you feel this way. I don't need to know about your work. I just want to talk to my wife more than 30 minutes a week. That's it. Rachel nods, regret showing on her face. I understand. I'll try to call you more often. I didn't realize you were so worried. I nod back, telling myself that maybe I was overthinking things. Hopefully, when her contract ends in June, things will go back to normal. I'm glad she at least listened and acknowledged my feelings. But in the back of my mind, there's a lingering doubt, will this really change? As June approaches, I can't hide my excitement that Rachel's contract is ending. We'll finally be back to normal, living like other couples, and hopefully reconnecting in the way we used to. During her time away, I've felt lonelier than ever and missed her more than I ever imagined. Rachel's scheduled to fly home on Sunday morning, but like always, I expect her to call me on Saturday morning. But all morning I don't get a call. By 11 a.m., my anxiety starts to gnaw at me. I try calling her, but it still goes straight to voicemail. This is confusing. There's no way she could be working on Saturday, especially since she told me her work contract ended yesterday. So what's going on? Saturday afternoon, I call again, then again in the evening, but I just keep getting voicemail. I feel like I'm becoming a controlling husband, like an anxious parent worrying about a bad kid. But I can't understand why she wouldn't check her phone, or at least leave a message. I've left messages since early this morning, but she's still silent. My gut feeling is sinking further with every passing minute. Is she avoiding me on purpose, or is she busy with something else she doesn't want me to know about? I can't rule out the possibility that she's with someone else. Early Sunday morning, I finally get a text message from Rachel. She apologizes for not calling sooner and gives me her flight information. She'll be landing at 3 p.m., so I'll have the whole morning free before I pick her up. I try to get the house ready for Rachel. Then I go for a run and work out in our little home gym to try and relieve the stress. But no matter how hard I try, I can't stop thinking about her. Her silence lately and her behavior make me wonder, could she be cheating on me? The way she's been distancing herself, calling less and less, always being busy with work, it's a pattern that's hard to ignore. And as an engineer, I'm always looking for logical explanations. Her changed behavior is the only explanation for what I'm feeling. But I know I can't accuse her based on my gut feeling. I've never been the suspicious type, or someone who likes to dig into things that aren't clear. I need evidence. Still, there's this underlying feeling of unease, a gut feeling I can't ignore. When Rachel gets home that afternoon, she seems genuinely excited to be back. We hug and catch up as usual, but I can't shake the feeling that something has changed. Our lives are slowly settling back into a routine, but the connection we used to have doesn't seem to be back. Rachel's still sweet, approachable, and warm, but I don't feel the passion that used to bind us so tightly. During her first week back, Rachel is busy with job interviews, and she finally gets the good news that she's been offered a position at Elliott Hospital, a place she'd been wanting to work. This means she won't have to work overseas anymore. I'm actually relieved. Finally, she'll be settled back in Manchester. Even though things seem to be working out, I can't escape the feeling that something's wrong. Our intimacy, especially emotionally and physically, has faded. And although I try to convince myself that's just how marriage naturally changes over time, I can't deny that most of this distance seems to be coming from Rachel. Then, one Sunday morning in early September, I'm making breakfast and coffee for us both, when Rachel walks into the kitchen, a smile on her face. "Good morning, Wyatt. You made breakfast already. What would I do without you?" She kisses me lightly on the cheek, making me feel a little warm even though I'm still filled with doubt. We chat about our plans for the day. I have a busy day ahead of me helping a friend renovate his house and then a construction job in the afternoon. Rachel says she might go for a walk, but she's not sure. As we're eating breakfast, Rachel suddenly announces, "Oh, and one more thing. I want to tell you that I'm going to a big medical conference in Boston in 2 weeks. Doctors Without Boundaries asked me to speak to some young doctors about the benefits of working overseas." I'm taken aback. "But you don't work for them anymore. Why would they ask you?" Rachel explains it's just something she's doing to help out her old organization. But it makes me uneasy. Is she thinking about going back to working overseas? We talk a little more, but my gut isn't settled. Rachel's still going to the conference even though I offered to go with her. It only strengthens my suspicion. I can't do anything but agree to it. Later that day, after finishing my friend's job and coming home earlier than expected, I look for Rachel, but she's gone, without a word. Frustrated, I decide to look in her dresser, and what I find stuns me. That red lingerie I found in her suitcase is clearly ripped. It's not new like I remember, and there's only one reason for that: she's worn it, but not for me. My suspicion explodes, but I try to stay calm. I put the lingerie back and ask myself, is everything really okay? Around 5:30, I hear the front door open. Rachel walks in, goes straight to the bathroom without calling or greeting me, even though my truck is parked right in front of the house. A strange feeling comes over me, like she's hiding something. I stay silent in the living room, listening to the water running in the shower. A little while later, the water stops, and I decide to go to the bedroom to greet her. Despite my doubts and the tension in the air, I can't deny that Rachel's still the most attractive woman I know. She's standing there in her bathrobe, not even bothering to put on clothes in front of me. Instead, she sits at the end of the bed and starts drying her hair. "So why didn't you text me about where you were going like I asked you to?" I ask, trying to keep my voice neutral. Rachel replies, a little snappy, "What, are you my parent now?" I sigh. "I'm sorry for worrying about my wife. Maybe I should care less, just like you do." She turns to me, eyes fixed on mine. "I was just hanging out with friends. I didn't think you needed to know where I was every minute of the day." "But why was your phone off?" "You can't tell me you were working then," I continue, trying to stay calm. "It wasn't off, I probably accidentally put it on silent." "What's going on, Wyatt?" Rachel seems confused. I shake my head, my mind filled with suspicion, but no concrete evidence to accuse her with. Rachel stares at me, then says, "Wyatt, at least you brought something home for dinner, right?" "No," I reply. "I marinated some steak. I'm going to grill them in a minute." You can make the salad if you want. She nods, still distant, sure, but you should clean the oven first. Come on. I stand there, giving her a playful smile, trying to lighten the mood. What, missed the best part of the day? Your beautiful, wet wife after a shower. Rachel chuckles lightly, but it's not exactly comfortable. You've seen that 1,000 times. Come on, go clean the oven. I sigh lightly, fine, but I need to use the bathroom first. As I'm about to walk into the bathroom, Rachel quickly replies, wait, I need to grab my dirty clothes for the laundry. She rushes to gather the clothes she wore earlier today, almost like she's trying to hide something. As I stand there, using the bathroom, those suspicious thoughts creep back into my mind. Why is she so anxious? Is she hiding something? When I come back out to the laundry room to grab the grill pan, I notice the washing machine is running. But it's only got a few pieces of clothes in it. The ones we wore earlier today, not enough for a full load. It only makes me more suspicious. Maybe she's trying to wash away evidence, or maybe I'm just getting paranoid. For the next 2 weeks, nothing really changes in our relationship. Everything feels normal, but the distance between us keeps growing. I can feel that connection we used to have, both emotionally and physically, fading since she started working in Puerto Rico. I'd hoped that, after she came home, things would go back to normal. But it's been almost 4 months, and nothing's improved. On Friday night, I decide to make a special night for Rachel, hoping to reignite the intimacy between us. But she declines, saying her period just started and my plans fall apart. I swear her period ended 2 weeks ago, but how could I possibly prove it? Ask to see the evidence? No way, and Rachel definitely knows it. Saturday morning, I take Rachel to the train station for her trip to Boston. When I get home, I sit in the bedroom, unsure of what to do with myself. My eyes land on Rachel's lingerie drawer, still open from when she packed her suitcase. A strange feeling rises up inside me, prompting me to check that red lingerie again, the one I found back in December. It's gone. Did Rachel take it with her? Why? A feeling, a truth that I don't want to admit to, wells up inside me. She could be cheating. It feels like all my suspicions over the past months have exploded in front of me. The subtle hints, the feelings of loneliness when she's away, it all seems to point to an unavoidable conclusion. Rachel must have someone else. I don't know who it is, but I guess it has to be someone from Doctors Without Boundaries. Finally, I can't just sit here and wait. I decide to act. If Rachel really is cheating, I need to face the truth. I'll go to Boston, see what's really going on. When I get to the conference, I grab a brochure with a map of the booths. I find the Doctors Without Boundaries booth and slowly move closer. Instead of approaching Rachel directly, I decide to observe her and the people around her from a distance. For 2 hours, I don't see anything unusual. Rachel is talking to people at the booth. Everything seems pretty normal. I start to think I'm being overly paranoid, but when I come back after lunch, I realize Rachel's gone. 2 male colleagues have returned to the booth, but she's vanished. My anxiety spikes again. Where is she, and what's she doing? I walk around the conference trying to find Rachel. As I pass the food court, I see her sitting with the woman who'd been working with her all morning. My heart leaps, but I turn away quickly, finding a seat far enough away to keep an eye on her without being detected. I sit down and start asking myself, what am I doing here? Am I trying to catch Rachel and her lover at the conference? That's ridiculous. If anything's happening, it'll be tonight when she goes back to her hotel room. But even if I knew what hotel, what would I do? Stand in the hallway and wait. Frustration overwhelms me, but I can't just give up. After a few minutes of calming down, I go back to the conference, heading straight to the Doctors Without Boundaries booth to check on Rachel one last time. She's still there, talking to the woman and 2 male colleagues. I stop and silently observe how Rachel interacts with them. Nothing unusual, everything looks very professional. I start to wonder if I'm making things up. Maybe nothing is happening. Maybe just because our sex life has been pretty lackluster, I'm creating reasons to blame something or someone. It's almost 3 p.m., just a few hours until the conference ends. I decide I'll wait until Rachel gets off work and where she goes. While I wait, I stop by the bar near the food court for a beer and some time to think. As I'm sipping my second beer, 2 guys sit down next to me. They're Rachel's colleagues. My gut clenches. They start talking about work, then after a while the conversation shifts to someone they both know. I'm about to ignore it, but when one of them mentions Rachel's name, I can't help but listen. Have you met Rachel Lewis before today? The blonde bombshell in that booth. I've been working with her in Puerto Rico since last Christmas, one of the guys starts. No, I haven't been to Puerto Rico. But I have to admit, she's a looker. Her husband's a lucky guy, the other replies. Hearing that, I feel a little pride. It's true, I'm pretty lucky to have Rachel. But the story doesn't end there. I'm not sure he's that lucky. While I was in Puerto Rico, Rachel and this senior doctor named Connor Knight were practically inseparable. They'd been dating since she got there. And believe me, they couldn't keep their hands off each other, the bigger guy chuckles. I'm frozen, my heart stops. Connor Knight, you're saying they're having an affair? The other asks, clearly surprised as well. That's right. They were like two bunnies in heat, all over each other all the time. You wouldn't believe it, they were like two peas in a pod. Connor even moved in with her, although it wasn't allowed, the bigger guy continues. I can't believe what I'm hearing. The world seems to crumble around me. All my suspicions suddenly become a horrific truth I never wanted to face. So, he went back home to his wife and kids, right? The other guy asks. Not really. As far as I know, he's working with her at Elliot Hospital in Manchester. I guess she helped him get the job, too. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. Connor Knight, my wife's lover, is in the same town, at the same hospital. And even worse, they might still be together. I sit there numb, listening to them talk about Rachel as if she's part of their dark joke. I can't respect him anymore, the other guy says. Doing that to his wife and kids back home, it's just not right. My anger boils over, but I hold back. I want to stand up, confront them, demand answers, but reason stops me. They don't know who I am, and this isn't the time to lose my temper. The beer in my hand shakes, everything blurs. Rachel betrayed me, betrayed the love and trust we'd built for 10 years. I don't know what to do next. But one thing's certain, I can't pretend this isn't happening anymore. Everything is clear now. Every one of Rachel's actions makes a terrifying kind of sense. She's seeing Connor, there's no other way. That Saturday a couple of weeks ago when she went out and didn't answer her phone. I bet she was with him all day. When she came home and rushed to the bathroom to wash her clothes. That wasn't random. She even didn't want me to see her naked. Maybe it was because there were still traces left from their recent intimacy. My rage explodes. I want to grab that fat guy at the bar and ask him everything he knows. But instead of losing my cool, I try to stay calm, stand up, and walk out. If anyone bumped into me on the way out, I probably would have punched them. I step out of the conference center, sit on a bench, and try to process everything I've just heard. Do I need to wait to see her leaving with Connor? Would seeing it with my own eyes make it any more real? Actually, I don't care who Connor is or what he looks like. What makes me furious is Rachel's deception, the woman I trusted more than life itself. The thing that hurts the most isn't the betrayal, it's how she's deceived me all this time. If Rachel loved Connor from the moment she got to Puerto Rico, why didn't she have the guts to end our marriage? Why continue pretending everything was okay? That we were still a loving couple? She even kept sleeping with me after she was already emotionally gone. She even helped Connor get a job in our hometown, where she could continue the affair right under my nose. It's the ultimate disrespect. The question keeps swirling in my head, why? Why would she lie to me like this? Why not break up, be honest with each other? I gave her everything, love, trust, my whole life. Since we started dating in high school, I've never kissed another girl, let alone betrayed her. And now, she's trampling all over the 10 years we've built together. There's only one thing left that I need closure. I need to see her with another man with my own eyes, to end all doubt, to be sure that our marriage is truly over. Around 5 p.m., I get up and go back to the conference center. I don't want to confront her right now, just seeing her with Connor is enough. I stop by a coffee shop near the bar where I was sitting earlier, where I can see the corner where I was sitting. I see Rachel standing there, talking to the two guys and the woman. But now there's another man with them. Tall, with short, brown hair, and a lean build, he's standing close to Rachel with his arm around her waist. No doubt about it, that's Connor, the guy my wife betrayed me for. Seeing them standing together, being so intimate, tears my heart apart. Even though there were so many doubts, I was still holding out hope that I was wrong. But now, watching Rachel lovingly embrace another man, all my faith in her crumbles completely. The woman I thought only loved me is with someone else. What should I do now? Should I run over there, confront them, or punch Connor in the face? Reason stops me, reminding me that acting impulsively will only make things worse. Instead, I pull out my phone and start recording them. As if on cue, Rachel turns to Connor and kisses him on the lips. Just a quick peck, but enough to confirm everything. I turn off the video and walk away silently. Stepping into our house, I feel like everything has changed. This house, once our home, is now just a reminder of what I've lost. The thought of Rachel possibly being in a hotel room with Connor makes my stomach churn. I can't be here alone. I rush out, find a bar, and drown my sorrows. I don't go home until 2 a.m. When I'm drunk enough, sleep finally comes, but it doesn't do anything to ease the pain gnawing at my heart. The next morning, the hangover from last night's drinking just adds to my sense of despair. I know I need to make a decision before Rachel gets home. One thing's for sure, this marriage can't go on. But the question is, what do I do next? I consider leaving, but then I think, no, why should I leave? She's the one who cheated, she's the one who should go. Connor's got to have a house somewhere in town, he's even working with her. And does his wife even know about this? I turn on my computer and search for Connor Knight on the Doctors Without Boundaries website. There's not much public information, but after some digging, I find his phone number and email. After hesitating for a second, I decide to call Connor's wife, Dolly. She deserves to know the truth, just like I do. Hello, this is Dolly. Dolly Knight, I answered. Yes, that's right. Hi, Dolly. This is Kevin from Doctors Without Borders. Can I talk to your husband Ryan about an opportunity we have for him? I replied. I'm sorry, he's already working for you? He's currently in Costa Rica. That can't be right. I don't have that information on our database. I only know that his last contract was in Puerto Rico earlier this year. Is that correct? I continued. Yes, that's right. But he just went to Costa Rica for a new contract about a month ago. You might want to call someone there to confirm everything. Or you can call my husband on his number. Although the signal there is quite poor, my calls hardly ever connect. Dolly answered. Is that so? We've never had issues with mobile service in Central America before. Besides, I don't think we have any positions for Costa Rica. They have a really good healthcare system there. Can you do me a favor? Can you check your husband's flights to Costa Rica? And if you can give me the flight number. We pay for all the trips, so I'll be able to find the information on our database and sort everything out quickly and nicely. I replied. Yes, sure. Give me a second, I don't have my laptop right now, Ryan's wife replied. She took a minute or two to log into her laptop and their email before replying to me. This can't be right, I can't find any email about his flight here. Hold on, I'll check the booking website we use. Dolly continued. Thanks, Dolly. That will make it easier for me to reconnect everything on our database. I added as she was typing on her laptop. Okay, here it is. Oh, this is strange. His flight is just one way from Chicago to Boston. He usually flies via Texas for Central American trips, with connecting flights to whatever country he's going to. I'm not sure why he's flying to Boston, and it seems there are no other flights listed after that. Dolly answered. Really? We never book flights through Boston unless our contractors are living in the Northeast? What's your flight number there? Maybe I can check what's going on? I continued. Then Dolly read out loud the flight number. I pretended to be entering that into something while she was speaking. I don't have anything on our database. He never came through us for that flight. Are you sure he's working under contract for us? Is there any other company or non-governmental organization he might be working for? I asked his wife. No, he told me that the contract is with Doctors Without Borders in Costa Rica for 6 months. I'm 100% sure of that, she answered. Well, I'm not sure what else I can tell you, other than he's not working with us at the moment, and we haven't paid for any flights accommodation or salary for him recently. Maybe if you check his bank statements, you might see details about a different flight he paid for, or you might know who has been paying him his salary. I know this might be a bit weird, but I don't have any information for him at the moment, which is why I called to offer him some work, I replied. Hold on a minute. Dolly replied with a sigh. I could hear her typing. If nothing else, she's going to suspect her husband right now. She's going to want to know the truth. This can't be right. What the hell is going on? Dolly said out loud, although clearly she wasn't talking to me. He hasn't taken any money out of our bank account for a month. How is he paying for anything? Dolly said out loud again. Maybe he got an advance in cash before you left, or he has a different bank account. I answered. No, we only have a joint account and there are no cash advances here. Why would he open another account? I can't answer that question. Have there been any deposits to your joint account recently? Surely he would be getting a salary if he was working somewhere, I asked her. Yes, there have been 3 deposits so far, the same amount every week. They're all bank transfers, it seems from a different bank. It says here in the details that they are from a bank in Manchester, New Hampshire. Why would he transfer money into our account from a bank in New Hampshire? This is completely ridiculous, she asked out loud again. Oh, that's about an hour drive from Boston. I guess that explains the one-way flight to Boston, I was thinking. Strange, I continued, egging her on. What's strange? Dolly replied, taking the bait. Oh, we only have one other doctor on our database from Manchester, New Hampshire. I put her on her last contract. It was in Puerto Rico working for her husband for a year until June. What would he be doing in Manchester with her? I wonder if he's working there with her again. That would make a lot of sense if she's now getting his salary transferred from a bank there. I replied. The implication for his wife was very clear even if I was acting calm. That's impossible. What would he be doing in New Hampshire working with a woman who used to work for him? Why didn't he tell me that? Why didn't he tell me about the flights and the bank accounts? Oh my God, Dolly's voice trailed off. And that was it, she had just realized the implications of this. She just realized that her husband was cheating on her, lying to her. Who is she? The woman living in Manchester, what's her name? Dolly almost asked. I can't give out personal information about our former staff. I'm so sorry, I replied as if I was truly serious. But she's a doctor, isn't she? Dolly continued. Yes, I only contract doctors, that's what I do, I replied to her. Manchester can't be that big, surely there can't be many hospitals there. He must be working in one of those hospitals, Dolly answered. I'm sorry, Mrs. Knight, I don't understand, I added, continuing my charade. Don't worry, I'll find out where he's been, what he's been doing. Anything else? I don't think my husband wants to work with you right now, Dolly replied. Okay, I'm sorry for any confusion I've caused. I hope you'll understand, I replied. Oh, don't worry, I will, Dolly said forcefully before ending the call. After some small talk, I quickly get to the point. Connor had lied to his wife about working in Costa Rica when he was actually in Boston. Dolly started getting suspicious, and when she discovered some strange things, like Connor transferring money from a bank in Manchester, New Hampshire, it all became clear to her. The call ends with Dolly in shock, and it doesn't make me feel any better. It's not my fault for revealing the truth, but ruining someone else's marriage doesn't make me happy. But now, I know what I need to do about Rachel. After deciding that I'm not moving out, I know Rachel's the one who needs to leave this house. I go down to the garage, grab our 2 suitcases and bring them into the bedroom, starting to pack her clothes. They fill up quickly, so I grab the last suitcase from the laundry room, stuffing in the rest of her clothes and personal things from the bathroom. When I'm done, I drag all 3 suitcases out and place them by the front door, ready for when Rachel gets home. She'll see everything ready and I won't need to say a word. With that task complete, I head to the gym to vent some frustration and go for a run to clear my head. As I sit down for lunch, I start thinking about what I'll say to her, and what Rachel might say to defend her actions. One thing I'm determined to do, not lose my cool. I don't want her to see the pain I'm going through. Instead, I'll remain resolute, ending this marriage the way she should have ended it long ago. By the evening, I have the TV on, watching sports to kill time. It's 6 p.m., close to when Rachel would normally call to ask me to pick her up from the train station. But instead of waiting for her call, I decide to turn off my phone. 2 can play this game, and this time she'll be the one waiting. Around 7:30 p.m. I hear a car pull up outside. The front door opens and closes. Rachel walks into the living room where I'm sitting. She stops, sighs, and says, Why is your phone off? You were supposed to pick me up, I had to call an Uber home. And why are there so many suitcases by the door? Rachel plops down on the sofa next to me, exhausted. This weekend was way too much. I need a couple of days to rest. I stay silent, refusing to say a word until she asks again, clearly confused about what's happening. Finally I reply, my voice calm but sharp. Those suitcases are yours. They're full of your clothes and belongings. You know why you feel exhausted after this weekend? You know exactly what I'm talking about? Rachel turns to look at me, confusion and worry in her eyes. Wyatt, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. I keep my tone steady. You can stop lying, Rachel. We're done. You should have had the guts to end this marriage a long time ago, as soon as you started cheating on me. It's all been an act since then, but I've figured it all out. She tries to keep calm, but her voice becomes urgent. What are you talking about? Cheating? I love you, Wyatt. I stare at her, not having any patience for her empty excuses. Don't deny it, Rachel. I know you've been seeing Connor Knight since you were in Puerto Rico. You can't keep hiding it anymore. Rachel goes quiet, her face losing color. No words left to say, she gets up abruptly, runs into the bedroom, and locks the door behind her. I sigh, settle back into the sofa, not wanting to waste any more energy knocking or calling her out. This is something she needs to deal with. This is her fault. A whole minute passes. Finally, I hear the bedroom door open. Rachel appears in the kitchen, her eyes red, tears still clinging to her lashes. She sits in the chair across from me, her voice trembling but soft. Wyatt, can we talk? I need to say something. I don't stop eating, I just nod and wait for her to continue. Go ahead, I'm listening. I'm sorry, she starts, her voice shaking. I am so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I never intended for things to turn out this way. I didn't mean to, Wyatt. I respond, still keeping my voice cold, but when it happened, you kept doing it over and over again. Rachel hangs her head, unable to deny the truth. I know. I feel terrible about it. Terrible? Do you think how you feel is worse than what you did? I sneer. Stop lying, Rachel. Just be honest for once. You enjoyed being with him, didn't you? She closes her eyes, her breath becoming heavy. After a few seconds of silence, Rachel looks up at me, finally admitting it. You're right. I enjoyed being with him. I couldn't stop, it was like I was addicted. Every time I came home, all I could think about was going back to him. I look at her, feeling my heart go numb again. Then why didn't you end our marriage as soon as it started? Why keep pretending? Rachel takes a deep breath, her voice cracking. Because I still love you, Wyatt. I've loved you since we were teenagers. I can't imagine my life without you. Then why were you with him last night, after I asked you if you wanted me to go with you? I ask, my voice becoming sharp. She goes silent, with no more excuses. I'm sorry, Wyatt. I am so sorry. I get up, looking directly at her one last time. It's too late. You've destroyed everything. Pack your bags and go, Rachel. We're done. Tears stream down Rachel's face as she stands and walks silently toward our bedroom. I don't bother to follow, I continue eating my noodles and open a beer. After everything that's happened, I deserve a little relaxation. With my beer in hand, I return to the living room, sit down and try to continue watching the game on TV. I'm not sure what Rachel's doing in the bedroom, especially since I already packed all her stuff. Maybe she's crying or feeling sorry for herself because her perfect world has completely crumbled. About 30 minutes later, Rachel walks out of the bedroom, pausing in the living room before looking at me, as if she wants to say something one last time. Wyatt, I know you hate me right now, and you have every right to. You won't believe anything I say, but I have to say this. From the moment we started dating in high school, I knew you were the man of my dreams, the one I wanted to spend my life with. I never thought I'd love anyone else but you, and when you proposed, my life was more perfect than anything I could have ever imagined. I can't explain why I slept with Connor that first time. Maybe I blamed it on loneliness or missing you, but the truth is I knew what I was doing, and I wanted it. I understood the consequences, but I kept telling myself I wouldn't ever have to face them. I was afraid of losing you, afraid of not having you in my life. I stare back at Rachel, saying nothing, letting her continue. I know you thought I'd always be there for you, and maybe I thought so too. But I know I ruined our marriage. If I could go back and never set foot in Puerto Rico, I would. But I can't. I'm so sorry for hurting you. If you can believe one thing, believe this: hurting you is the last thing I ever wanted to do. I hope someday you can forgive me and find happiness. With that, Rachel turns and walks away, dragging her suitcases out. I hear the engine of her car waiting outside, and then she's gone. She doesn't say where she's going, whether she'll stay with Connor or not, and honestly, I don't care anymore. Rachel's emotional speech was probably just to help her soothe her own conscience, to help her move on without carrying too much guilt. Maybe she wants to leave with good memories of what we had rather than facing what we've become. But for me, actions speak louder than words, and Rachel has shown me too much with her actions. The following weeks are the hardest of my life. I try to bury myself in work, but I can't focus. Whenever I have a free moment, my mind drifts back to Rachel and everything she did. After a long time of struggling, I decide to contact a divorce lawyer to end it all. The only issue left is our house. Although it's just a rental, it's filled with memories, every corner reminding me of her. I decide I'll move out when the lease is up. I need a fresh start, a place without Rachel's ghost. The divorce papers are ready, but I don't know where Rachel is to serve them. My lawyer tries to find her at the hospital, but then I get word that she's been fired, along with Connor, after Dolly, Connor's wife, filed for divorce and demanded action from the hospital. I don't know where she is, so I have to contact her family in Florida for information. But another idea pops up, Dolly. Maybe she knows where Connor is living, and Rachel might be with him. I call Dolly. "Hi, this is Dolly," she answers. "Hi Dolly, it's Wyatt Walker. We spoke before. I'm Rachel's husband, and I think you could help me." Dolly is silent for a moment before replying, "I remember you, Wyatt. What do you need?" I tell her about Rachel and Connor getting fired, and that my lawyer needs to find Rachel to finalize the divorce. Dolly sighs and says Connor is living in Chicago, but she isn't sure if Rachel is with him. "I'll send you his information," Dolly says, then hangs up. Finally, my lawyer finds out that Rachel has signed a new contract with Doctors Without Boundaries and is now working in Honduras. The divorce drags on a bit, but soon after that, I get word that Rachel has hired her own lawyer and agreed to the divorce without asking for anything. 6 months later, it's all over. Rachel and I are officially divorced, and she's gone from my life like a gust of wind. But even though everything is over, I still feel empty. Work, family, and friends are all good, but I can't deny that I lost a part of myself, a part that used to be the most important. People say time heals all wounds, that I'll find someone else. But to be honest, I'm not sure I can ever love and trust someone again. Sometimes, there isn't a happy ending, just an ending. And all you can do is learn to accept it and keep living. But right now, I'm still struggling to deal with what happened, hoping someday things will get better, even though right now, that feels so far away. Time passes, and I slowly learn how to live without Rachel. The pain and betrayal that once buried me in a sense of emptiness start to fade, but not completely disappear. Every time I look at old photos or remember the memories we shared, it still hurts, but not as deeply as before. But life goes on. I move into a new apartment, a smaller place, simple but complete. There's nothing in this apartment that reminds me of my past with Rachel. I decorate it in my own way, creating a completely new space where I can start fresh. In the beginning, the apartment is empty and quiet, just like my life. But over time, it slowly becomes my new home, where I learn to live with myself and face the hurt I've endured. Evenings are no longer hours of self-questioning why, but instead time for me to read books, watch movies I haven't had the time to enjoy, and sometimes take walks in the park. My friends and family are also incredibly supportive during this difficult time. They don't let me isolate myself. They're always there, inviting me to dinner, joining me at gatherings, ensuring I don't feel alone. One day, while having coffee at a small cafe I'd just discovered, I notice a woman sitting in the corner. She's got a simple look, but her eyes sparkle with intelligence and depth. She smiles at me as we make accidental eye contact. It's not love at first sight like in the movies. But it's the moment I realize something crucial. There's still so much life waiting for me. Not every relationship ends in heartbreak, and not everyone betrays you. I'm not ready for a new relationship, but for the first time in months, I don't feel hopeless or lost. I realize that life can still be beautiful, and no matter how much pain, failure, or betrayal brings you down, there are always new days to start again. It might be a long time before I'm ready to love again, but I'm not rushing it anymore. I've learned that taking the time to love and care for yourself is essential before you can love someone else. And now I'm doing that, slowly but surely. I'm Wyatt, and this is my story. This story stirred up many emotions and thoughts for me. I hope it brought you similar meaningful experiences. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts about the story. I'd love to hear your feedback. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to see more videos from me.